What's up, everybody? Brett here. I'm back with my YouTube channel, Good Talk Gaming, looking at some more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer battles. We're going to be taking this fight on the Northern Threat. That's the map. It's a pretty cool one. It's kind of a Karl Franz quest battle map. My buddy Triari and I are both going to be playing as the Empire. As you can see, I'm going to be trying out the Amethyst Wizard. Really the first time I've gotten to use him since the update. And we're going to be up against two very skilled opponents, I'll say, playing as the Dark Elves. They were also really cool dudes. Had a chance to chat before the game. But before everything gets underway, let's go ahead and slow-mo it a bit so we can take a look at our army comps. Let's get the unit cards brought up and check it out. So there's definitely a lot of terrain at play here. Oh my god. Did they have anyone deployed back here? They did not. Thank goodness. But we decided to take the high ground. Well, I did anyway, because I had all this artillery that I needed to make sure that I had lines of sight. I wanted to make sure that I could protect it. I have a Hellstorm rocket battery with huge range, 480, and it's firing its first salvo now, but I'm going to switch targets as often as I can to make sure I'm getting on to some optimal targets. I've got two mortars here. Going to be looking to go after perhaps Dark Shards, perhaps these Blackguards of Nagaron, and then the cannons, which at some point I'm going to focus pretty directly onto these Doomfire Warlocks, the Cold One Knights, all of this cavalry that wants to get in and around and on top of my artillery. And I'm going to be using my Spearmen. I have a couple halberdiers in the front line here with an Empire captain looking to lead them in battle. And I'm going to be already sensing this threat from all of this cavalry. I'm going to be moving them as well as I can. And two Free Company militia who are decent in melee if you need them to be. But on this hill, on this slope, they'll have a good line of sight to fire in with their pistols and do good work. Also have the Silver Bullets. They're in Viz right now. They have Stalk. And then out on the flanks here, two units of swordsmen. I was expecting something to come from this flank. And when I looked, I didn't see them. So I ended up pulling my forces back and leaving myself a bit exposed here. But the kind of main thing about my build here, and let's go ahead and pause it because stuff is getting crazy over here on Triari's side, is that I wanted to use Balthasar Gelt as a mana battery for the Amethyst Wizard. So Balthasar Gelt completely stripped down, well nearly. I wanted one spell on him just in case something were to happen to my Amethyst Wizard. So Searing Doom is a pretty cost-effective spell. But using Arcane Conduit, as well as the Staff of Valance, so great increase to power reserves and greatly improved power recharge rate. It's an ability, it's a unique item that's only on Gelt, and it allows you to regenerate lots of Winds of Magic if you're very careful about when you use it. So, and then on the Amethyst Wizard, I went with a bit more diverse of a kit than I normally would have. I also took a form of power reserve recharge rate in the form of the Power Stone. Fata Buna, Spirit Leech are very standard, and the Purple Sun of Xeris as well. And I think I'm going to get one or two good casts of that, as well as Life Leeching. So whenever he casts, he's going to get even more power recharge rate. And that's the name of the game with this build, is to cast as many spells as possible, protect my artillery on this hill, and do maximum damage from range. And then to top it off, I also have, check this formation out. I placed them in Vanguard here, and this is what it ended up looking like. Facing the wrong way in a straight line, a little bit buggy, and I was kind of upset about it because they were supposed to be hidden, and they were not. But I'm going to be able to do some good work with them. Triari went with a build that I absolutely love, and it's like a triple Griffin build. Let's slow-mo this. He's got two Amber Wizards, not completely stripped down. They can summon Manticores. Perhaps didn't need that on both of the Amber Wizards, but in case one gets picked off, it's nice to have the ability on both. And then Boris Todbringer, with all of his buffs and debuffs and an AoE, together they're quite the powerful goon squad. And if Malekith or Marathi were up on their flying mounts, they would be able to quite easily take them to task. So his front line is cheap spearmen. No chevrons, no nothing, but they do have shields. So he's going to be falling back with them at my request to kind of help me defend this high ground position. He's got some Free Company militia of his own, two Knights of the Blazing Sun, which are great anti-infantry cavalry. They do flaming damage, not super relevant, but they're also very well armored and shielded. So they're going to be great versus everything on this side of the battlefield, because all I'm seeing on this side is chariots and infantry, and that's exactly what they want to be fighting. And then all praise be to Triari for bringing a steam tank, one of my favorite units in the game. Right now it's functioning as an artillery piece. It's got a range of 380, which is not too shabby, and it looks like it might be taking pot shots at the Cold One chariots, which is a pretty good target. So while my artillery rains down on the Dark Elves that are advancing here, trying to go after priority targets, this Dark Elf player here is trying to kite with his Cold One chariots, which do have missile damage. So basically what you've got here is teams of Velociraptors being pulled behind a spiky chariot while they get whipped by one guy, and then two other dudes shooting crossbows from the back. Seems safe, seems like a good idea. But they've got two of those, some Harpies in the air, which will be effective against us, especially if they can shut down my back line. I see Dark Shards, one on each side of the battlefield it looks like. Lots of Dread Spears to kind of absorb damage in case I guess we went for, you know, they have Silver Shield. So if they're going to be taking missile fire, they're good against that. If you're fighting Great Swords against them, you're kind of just wasting their time. And then the Hargoneth Executioners in here, happy to see a bit of a double shot going off, killing a few models, 2 models dead there. Cold One Chariots down 1 model. And then Blackguard of Nagaron on both sides of the battlefield. Hard to tell exactly which part of which force belongs to which player. But there's also Blackheart Corsairs mixed in. Just a nice diverse bit of infantry here from the Dark Elves. Even Witch Elves in case they find a target to end up possessing and forcing them to continue fighting. So there are 2 groups of Shades here with great swords. Not sure why they're advancing in the wrong direction. It looks like the Dark Riders with shields are going to be trying to sneak in through this line here. He might have given them a very specific order to go in a very roundabout fashion. But still not sure why the Shades are going all the way in the corner. But they definitely will have a home this battle. And then a Khanate Assassin, which is something you don't get to see very often. But he was very effective this game. We could take a look at his abilities because they're pretty unique. And right now he's shooting up at these Griffins. He's also a pretty cool looking model. He's got Assassin's Trophy, which can debuff an enemy's melee defense and melee attack. Very good at sniping. Black Lotus to cause a discourage effect. And also Dark Venom, which boosts his weapon damage if he needs it. We've also got a Sorceress here. Where'd she go? So I see Malekith, Broody Boy Malekith, on foot, trying to save funds, no doubt, trying to go a little bit wider. Lots of cavalry from this player for sure. So I'm sure that's where the funds came from. Just for the cost of the dragon, you can get like 2 units of cavalry. Standard stuff, Blade Wind. He's going to be able to drop lots of spells on top of my backline and potentially shut down this nice little artillery battery I have going. And then where is the Sorceress? Okay, there she is. Supreme Sorceress of Death. Going to be trying to cast some death magic on me. And I think that's about all we need to go over. Dark Shards are now in range. They're taking pot shots at our Free Company militia. And I've positioned my Halberdiers here to try and close off this little gap. I've got a Fata Buna going off on the Cold One Knights. But here we go. This is going to be difficult to protect. And of course they could not see my silver bullets, so we're going to get some big damage on that Sorceress. However, the Harpies plus the Fata Buna is going to shut down my mortars. And perhaps I placed my artillery a bit close together, but I was trying to make efficient use of this super defensive terrain. And I figured if they dove in with Harpies, we would just get the kill with the Spearmen. But they're using an overwhelming amount of magic here to crush through our front lines. And the Halberdiers are going to be able to engage and kind of close off these cavalry. Sure, they're going to get in the back line, but they're going to be isolated here, and there's not going to be much that they can do once they're there. They're not fighting handgunners, they're fighting Free Company militia, which on the whole can defend themselves quite well against the Cold One Knights, if they have to. Knights of the Blazing Sun. That's not the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Those are the Zentler's Reichsguard, and they have surrounded Malekith, who's going to be using a Doom Bolt to try and free himself, and that's going to do quite a bit of damage. A few models die, but keeping him out of the frontline fight I felt like was important. And at a certain point, I'm going to start cycle charging into these Dark Shards here. We're going to get that kill. And Murderous Prowess procs on all of the Dark Elves. And that's going to be rough. I get one of the big Purple Sons of Xeris here, and I managed to take apart some of these Blackguard of Nagaron. They were bunched up pretty nicely. It was hard to find a target here because it's not great against cavalry. I had to find bunched up infantry units. And now these Doomfire Warlocks are in here fighting halberds. And a Blade Wind goes off on my Halberdiers, but it's actually going more into the Dread Spears and the Doomfire Warlocks, and that allows my Halberdiers to push forward. Whew, there's a lot going on here. Let's look at the frontline engagement from Triari. He's got some nice Overwatch fire from his Free Company. His Griffins have been engaged. My Zentler's Reichsguard have been rampaged. Manticores have been summoned. No doubt trying to shut down the Cold One chariots. One of the Amber Wizards took a ton of damage. The Shades have been intercepted. They tried to sneak onto the battlefield, but the Knights of the Blazing Sun are going to come in and completely shut them down. So after doing a lot of unit testing with the Great Swords, variant of the Shades, they do a ton, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to cut down the Knights of the Blazing Sun and prolong melee combat. But with a little help here from Boris, debuffing them, they're going to rout, and hopefully we can chase them off the battlefield. So it's at this point, I'm having a pretty tough time. My backline is compromised. I've got cavalry running rampant. My Free Company militia are being crushed. Every which way you look at it, I'm losing units because they're routing off the battlefield. And some of them I'm able to return, but there's a lot of fear on the other side of the battlefield. My Zentler's Reichsguard returned with only 15 unit models. It looks like a Spirit Leech going down. No, Assassin's Trophy. So the Canine Assassin was looking to duel, and pretty smart of Triari to pull him back, because that's not a fight you really want to take. No reason there to risk that death. And even more Manticore summons are going to come in. At this point, I think I was suggesting to Triari to split up his leadership corps and use them to kind of help me kind of survive in the backfield, because the Supreme Sorceress is taking out Balthasar Gelt. He's getting run over. He's fighting in and amongst his halberds, but it's actually pretty crazy that they're still holding. And the Empire Captain coming in the fourth quarter, charging into these Blackguard from the rear. And he can do quite a bit of damage if he can just sit and fight. 22 kills on him, which is not bad. He's not really meant to kill. He's meant to help your frontline sustain with his leadership buffs. Rampaging Cold One Knights are going to be chasing down Balthasar. I've got 2 uses out of my Staff of Valance, so I was actually pretty happy with that. I got 1 Searing Doom cast, which did decent damage. I think I missed that. But the fact is, my Amethyst Wizard is still alive. And I've pulled him off to the side here. He's fighting this Cold One Chariot. He should have enough weapon strength to perhaps rout it off the battlefield. The problem is that it started to rampage, which allowed it to stabilize, actually. And yeah, that was pretty rough. But we're bringing in some of our routing anti-large units to try and chase it off the battlefield. I tried to save this pocket here, but I needed a little more help. The steam tank has just been sitting and shooting all game, which is fine, because at the end of the day, it's an unbreakable, super heavily armored unit that our opponents are going to have to deal with, even if they manage to rout everything else off. So it's sad, but the only thing that was able to rout off like 6 of my units was this 1 unit of like Dark Riders with shields, which was pretty pitiful. And there, Balthasar Gelt goes down. A leadership debuff hits my entire army, and I'm going to have to scrap together whatever I can to try and stay in this fight. I have some swordsmen here. I'm going to send them up, I think. Looks like I'm sending them here, but I feel like at some point I'm going to send them up here to try and help deal with these Dark Riders, to try and rally what's left of my forces. We still have Blackguard of Nagaron, somewhat healthy with some Dread Spears and Blackguard Corsairs. If they fight together, that's a pretty tough little group. Chillwind going down for Malekith, who's still in the fight, popping Stand Your Ground to give leadership. Argonath Executioners, only 7 of them. And Triari's Free Company Militia are going to take some shots before being engaged from the flank by the Blackguard. But he still has Boris Todbringer, who with his regen, ooh, nice pullback there. He lost a few units, but I think so did the Dark Elf player. But Boris Todbringer with that regen is going to be very tough to beat. I think at this point I started circling Malekith. I was like, snipe him out, snipe him out. And Triari sends him over, and he is going to absolutely dump Malekith from the back of his Griffin. And it looks like the Supreme Sorceress is trying to come to help, and the Dark Elf player is wisely bringing all of his anti-large forces there. And with his Amber Wizard, he was able to provide me with just a little bit of relief and a little bit of leadership to help me drive back, you know, just these 1 little super cheap cavalry units, these light cav units that were routing off all of my, you know, survivors. But a shot there from the steam tank from one of its auxiliary cannons is going to send them running. It does cause terror, so in the late game at full health, it's pretty much an unbeatable unit if there's not a lot of anti-large armor-piercing tools left like the Blackguard. The Canine Assassin is still alive. For a while there, I was using what remained of my Zentler's Reichsguard to tie him down, and I was able to nearly kill him. He had routed and come back in the fourth quarter to try and take some pot shots. But anyway, what a great battle. And we ended up doing another one that was super fun. I hope you guys stick around for that. If there was any failing in strategy there, it was definitely we needed to allocate a few more resources to protecting my artillery. I should have spread my artillery a bit better. But given the crampedness of my, you know, kind of like corner camping location, it was kind of difficult. But other than that, I think everyone played well. These shades, getting that pick early by Triari with the Knights of the Blazing Sun, 133 kills, 111 kills. That was huge, because had these units been able to come in at full health with full ammunition when the battle was already joined, they probably would have just swept up that entire flank and rolled us over. Supreme Sorceress got a lot of kills as well, and Malekith on foot struggled, mostly because I was able to tie him down early, and he never really was able to join the frontline fight with the rest of the infantry. But big kills on the Cold One Knights, on the Dark Riders. I mean, that's mostly just from running my units down and getting them off the battlefield. So that's top tier play from Rep. Anytime you have a chance to route your enemy's units off the battlefield, especially if they're healthy, you should always take it. And Heavy Metal made good use of this Hargan Executioners in the front line, really cut through all those Spearmen, and really good cast from the Supreme Sorceress. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brett. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're watching this and you like what you see, consider subscribing. That helps me out a lot. But also, if you just want to add me on Steam, I'm Good Talk Gaming. Just go ahead and add me. And if you have some replays, some current replays that you want to send, be they 2v2s, 3v3s, 1v1s, whatever, as long as it's interesting, go ahead and send it to me. And I'll consider casting it for the channel. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.